Hi, in today's video we'll be talking about the skull and the anatomy of the skull, which is right here. This is basically the housing of your brain, and your spinal cord exits from this area. So let's start off with the generic. We got the calvaria, which is the whole portion right here, and then you got the base, which is the bottom portion. So from there, let's talk about the sutures, which is right here, the coronal suture. Then from there, you got the sagittal suture, and then from top bottom, you got the rhomboid suture. So we'll start off with the bones too. You got the frontal bone, which is right here. Then you got the parietal bone on each side, and then going down, you got the occipital bone. And if you go laterally, you got the squamous suture. Then you got the temporal bone, and which is also right here. From there, you got the zygomatic bone, which is right here. If we go to the front, you got the maxilla, which is all the way here. And this whole area right here, which is the mandible. So this is the basic structure of the skull, and you can always break down and go to specifics, but for now we'll just do the generic anatomy of the skull. Thank you. So now that we went over the generic anatomy, let's move on to the deeper portion of the skull, which is the more specific areas. So let's talk about this area right here. This one is called the external auditory meatus, and this is where your ear is located. And then if you see this right here, this is the styloid process, and one muscle starts from here, which is the stylohyoid, and we'll cover the muscle area later on in the videos in the channel. But moving from there, posterior, this is the mastoid process, which the sternocleidomastoid inserts to. Now that we covered the structure of the skull, we'll talk about the mandible. So the mandible is the jaw, basically, and this one opens and closes and also deviates from side to side. So you got the TMJ, also stands for temporomandibular joint. Then you got the then you got the head of the mandible. Then you got the mandibular notch, which is right here. And then if you move slightly over, you got the coronoid process of the mandible. If you go slightly down, which is right here, you got the condylar process. This right here is the ramus, and the bottom structure right here is the mandibular angle. And if you move slightly forward, this is the mental foramen, and this front of the mandible is the mental protuberance. And this is the generic anatomy of the mandible.